to Windows 10 and get up to 45% off select business computers with Intel Core processors. To speak with a Dell advisor, call 877-BY-DELL. That's 877-BY-DELL.
.807 AM 560 traffic center time, and Jim Telemonti.
Metro North Central trains are stopped in both directions near Buffalo Grove due to police investigation. Inbound Kennedy at Armitage, there's a crash in the left lane. Looking at about an hour and 2 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, it's quicker than the express. 8 and 26 minutes. Lake Cook to the junction. How about 42? The Eisenhower's an hour and 5 minutes. 390 to downtown. 52 minutes from Manheim. Stevenson, an hour, 3:55 to the drive to Ryan, 50 minutes from 95th. Northbound tri-state delays are 95th to 47th, and from the Reagan Tollway to past the Eisenhower. Southbound from the Ike to near Ogden for the crash on the right side. Reagan Tollway delays are Farnsworth to Mill and 53 to 3:55. I'm Jim Telemonti on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Today, mostly cloudy skies, and the high today at 38. Cloudy with a shower in spots toward dawn tonight, low 30. Partly sunny, mild tomorrow, the high 40. Some snow and rain at times on Wednesday afternoon. No accumulation expected, high 37. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
31 at O'Hare. Next news, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy, and interesting piece, thehill.com, Merrill Matthews, resident scholar with the Institute for Policy Innovation in Dallas, writing, 9 years ago, I published a piece that asserted voters around the country are concluding it's better to be red than dead, applying almost the exact opposite meaning to an old phrase referring to communism. Yeah, his point that voters were increasingly fed up with states where they had high taxes, heavy regulations, cultural Marxism, blue states like, say, Illinois, California, New York, New Jersey. Matthews goes on, I argued that voters wanting to live in a business-friendly, fiscally responsible state that minimizes the tax burden would either vote out the liberals destroying their state's economy or flee to a red state. Well, in states like California, New York, Illinois, New Jersey, voting out the leftists doesn't seem to be an option, so people are pursuing the alternative that Matthews outlined. The red state leader, Texas, with a projected pickup of 3 congressional seats following the 2020 census. After that, gaining 4 congressional seats, after gaining 4 congressional seats in 2010. I mean, 7 seats over the last 2 censuses, Texas. Florida to pick up 2, Arizona, Colorado, Montana.
How many Montana picked?
1. I mean, to go from 1 to 2, that's doubling, right? Yeah. Arizona, Colorado, Montana, North Carolina, Oregon, each will gain 1, all but Oregon, and Colorado's a swing, but all but Oregon otherwise are red states, really. The 10 states losing population, losing congressional seats.
Illinois is on that list, of course.
California, Illinois, Minnesota, New York, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, West Virginia, Michigan, Alabama. Of the 7 seats gaining seats, 5 voted for Trump and 16. Of the 10 states losing seats, 5 voted for Trump and 5 voted for Hillary. So that's what's happening. There is a flight to quality, as you will, if you will. And, I mean, it's very much like the Economics 101 adage. Money goes where it's treated best. Capital goes where it's treated best. And so do the people who possess that capital. And that is consistent with this piece in the Journal, Wall Street Journal. In Florida, homeowners come for the weather and stay for the tax relief. You can imagine my interest in this piece as a property owner in Naples.
It's called, then the subline is the Dan Proft story.
Really? It truly is.
And they interviewed a lot of people that said, they were surprised by how much of a financial savings it is by moving to Florida. Crazy money, they describe it.
Right. And
I want some crazy money.
Come
on.
And this focuses on people that are very wealthy. But look, you go from a state like Illinois where you're paying 4%, 3.95% state income tax, which is potentially going to go up precipitously in the near, not too distant future. But then the property tax is the overall state and local tax burden, which is the highest in the nation. And you go to Florida, and if your job is portable, then you can give yourself a 10 to 15 to 20% salary increase just by moving. So you make up that pretty quick once you change residences. And frankly, it's the same thing with respect to Illinois versus Indiana, which is why Indiana is in third place in terms of where residents are fleeing. That's substantial because you're not fleeing to Indiana for weather. You're fleeing to Indiana for quality of life at a particular price point, which brings us to the author of this piece about Florida specifically, but it's a piece really about sort of big blue states and deep red states that are attracting those former blue state residents. The author is Beth DeCarbo. She's a writer of Wall Street Journal's Counting House, the Mansion section's biweekly column about the personal finances of owning a home. Beth, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Good morning.
Good morning. And so, in Illinois, there's been some survey research done. The Paul Simon Institute at the University of Southern Illinois did a survey of, the percentage of people who want to leave Illinois and the main reason why they want to leave. We have the highest in the nation at nearly half the population that wants to leave the state, which is sort of incredible in a state of 13 million people. And the number one reason that they cite up and down the income quintiles is taxes. And that's sort of what your piece speaks to about Florida. That's right.
I really focused on state income taxes. And when you look at Illinois, it's a flat tax, as you know, at 4.95%, which is actually pretty low compared to other kind of high tax states. Actually, though, when you look at the overall tax burden, Illinois is, as you said, the highest in the country. It has the second highest in the nation property taxes. It has the third highest gas taxes and fees in the country. And even its state income tax, while low, is still the seventh highest in the U.S. So it's a pretty heavy burden that Illinois residents pay.
Yeah, I think I said 3.95%. Of course, I misspoke. 4.95%. I was more focused on where we're going to find it in after November of 2020 with a referendum on the ballot. But you profile some couples and families that have been successful and the sort of savings they achieve by moving from a high tax state like Illinois or New York to the low tax state of Florida. Can you give us an anecdote or two?
Sure. I really looked at very high income folks moving from the Northeast. New York is a particularly interesting case because not only do they have a state income tax, but if their residence is in New York City, they have a New York City income tax as well. So let's say you have a married couple filing jointly and they're together making $500,000 a year in taxable income. That couple, by moving to Florida, which has no state income tax, would save $30,957, so $31,000. If that same couple lived in Massachusetts, the savings would be $25,000, and in Connecticut, like Greenwich, it would be almost $29,000. So you think about that savings year after year, and it is crazy money.
And the other thing that's interesting from your piece too is, and just speaks to demand, right? Is where home sales are occurring. So where do you have a robust real estate market? It's not Chicago, I know that. And it's not Illinois. Where do we have the most robust real estate markets?
It would be in Florida. It's in South Florida. So you're thinking like Miami Beach and Fort Lauderdale. That's where you're really seeing the growth. But it's also where the average home prices are the highest. So when I looked at the top 10% of home values in South Florida, the number one was in the Keys with an average home value of $2.8 million. Miami-Dade was $2 million. So, we're talking about the top 10%, but the point is that where you move in Florida also makes a big financial difference.
Well, I'll tell you, it's interesting because I'll just tell my story without getting into too much of the
No, I want
details.
all the digits.
But here's the thing, and this is a real thing, and I'm not in the J-Lo, a Ken Griffin mega mansion on the intercoastal range or anything like that. But in Chicago, 1-bedroom condo, 1,100 square feet. In Naples, I have a 3-bedroom home that's 1,800 square feet. The home in Naples is 3x the market value of my condo in Chicago, and my property taxes are the same.
Wow.
And that's a state, right? And that's property taxes are the same, and Florida is a state with zero income tax. So, and this is a big populous state, too. It's not one of these arguments that's made by policymakers. Oh, well, sure, Montana or Wyoming, there's nobody there and so on and so forth. This is a popular, diverse state, as is Texas. More popular, a higher population, and more diverse or just as Illinois. And so there's something else going on in comparison to these states beyond just, diversity in urban centers and those sorts of things.
Dan, I'm curious, in your scenario, what do you claim is your primary residence? Is it Illinois or is it Florida?
Or is it going to be changing soon?
Yeah, let me say it's Illinois for now. But seriously, like everybody in Illinois who can afford a U-Haul truck, and we're number one in the nation in outgoing U-Haul rentals, I have an exit strategy. And that's a sad commentary, not to be flippant for a minute. It's a sad commentary because there's a lot of people like me, and I'm sure that's the case in New York and New Jersey and Connecticut and California, who love the city, love where they live, don't want to leave, but they just can't make it make sense to be where they are anymore. It's just not worth it.
Well, the reason I asked is that when you claim Florida as your primary residence, your taxes could decrease because you have a homestead exemption and any other state and local breaks, depending on where you move, that your property taxes will go down.
Wow. Look at him, so happy
The news
over
just
there.
keeps getting better. Beth, do you do outside consultant work? Yeah.
I can make it better, even better than that.
Yeah.
Once you claim Florida as your primary residence, there's also no estate tax, and that's a big deal too.
That is a big deal.
Yeah, and actually when you see a hedge fund person who is worth $25 million moving to Florida, losing that estate tax, that's real money for the heirs as well. No,
I mean, it's one of the running jokes in Illinois is I'm going to stay here for a while, but I know I'm not alled to die here. I can't die here. If you have anything to pass on to your heirs, you can't die here. It's true.
Right.
So
but I want to defend. I do kind of want to defend the state. You have great colleges. You have a rich history, a lot of great sports teams, a diverse population, vibrant art scene, and hey, number one, no hurricanes.
It's true, although Naples is a bit insulated from hurricanes.
Snowstorms.
And also, we only have the White Sox now in terms of great sports teams.
I don't
the
even know
others
if
are
that
not
would
so
qualify.
great. Yeah.
But Beth, tell me what's going on in Montana. So many people moving there that they're adding one more congressional seat.
I think Montana is kind of an interesting state. It has an income tax, so it's not that people are going there to save on income taxes, but I think you see a lot of out-migration from other states to Montana, and since more people can work remotely, they can go to Montana, somewhere more remote, and get their work done. Actually, more than Montana, Idaho is actually the number one growing state between 2018 and 19, according to the census. Its population went up 2.1%, which is pretty significant. To compare it with Illinois, that was down 0.4%, which you think is really nothing, but in fact, Illinois ranks number 3 in out-migration, only behind New York and California.
And Idaho is beautiful. I don't know if you've been there, but I know a couple that's because of this. We have selective enrollment here in Illinois, so you have to apply for high schools, and they're moving to Idaho, where their second home is, just to avoid that and have her go to high school there.
And you're seeing a lot of tech folks moving to Idaho as well.
Well, and the other thing, too, with all of this migration happening, the redistribution of the population, if you will, organically, what we haven't mentioned, but it's important to mention, is that a lot of these individuals moving are taking their businesses with them. It's not just residential property. It's not just somebody's household income. It's relocating businesses to other states.
Right. I really mainly focused on residential, but however, there was an analysis by Bloomberg that looked at income migration. So we're not talking businesses, but we're just talking about income migration. I don't know the Illinois number, but Florida nets $17.2 billion in just inbound moves. And so that's a lot of money that's moving across state lines, and that also means that the high tax states are losing that income.
Yeah, over the last decade, Illinois has lost $30 billion in GDP. $30 billion. She is Beth DeCarbo, writer of the Wall Street Journal's Counting House, the Mansion section's biweekly column about the personal finances of owning a home. Beth, thank you so much for joining us, and your consultation on my future life in Florida. I appreciate it.
Well, good luck. Thanks, Dan and Amy.
Take care.
Thanks, Beth. And she joined us on our turnkey Pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Is this your situation? Cellular or data services are bad inside your building or vehicle? People notice. People complain. This is Kelly Piles. My company is PC Net Services. We can fix that annoying problem. Resolving this is not as complicated or as expensive as you might think, but it does make a difference. I have worked with the largest cellular providers in the nation. We could improve your cellular and data signal inside your building with all major